Can we wait out here?
Yeah, we'll get a couple minutes.
Oh, it's Susie's stuff.
Susie, show up.
No windows, you have no idea what's going on. The buildings for your birthday? Very good.
We're really off of it. I don't know.
Good morning, thanks for coming, everybody. I think I caught most of you to meet Kathy Gredeman. Kathy's from Windstar. You've seen the Windstar buses and trucks now, and the travel agency, and you're seeing more and more of that, so it's been quite a success story. And we want to learn from the best, so that's why we brought in Kathy. So I'm looking for ways to keep Kemper improving, obviously, and you've heard a lot of formal training, Infinite Campus, you love those two words, right? But you heard about, I think this group kind of forgets how much the teachers do. Ted knows it very well, and how much training they have to do. They have to keep improving. I've got to go to classes at Creighton University this year to keep improving. The principals, obviously, I went to one session this year with Ted and Penny and Fitz and Kathy. Sharon and Elena went to Omaha, Nebraska this summer for a fundraising institute. So the training never stops, and the formalized improvement never stops. But I think sometimes the frontline people, you guys, get left out, I think. With the exception of Infinite Campus this year. But for the most part, I think we forget about secretaries, especially in the frontline people, about some formal training, and you get overlooked. And so, you know, we're only as strong as a whole team. Kemper's a team, and obviously we are strong all together. And so I think we forget that. We know teachers are a big part of the team, that kindergarten teacher, but I think we forget the secretaries are just as important part of the team. So that ongoing training is for everybody. So we want to make sure Kemper can be the best it can be. It has to be. And we're a business, and I think a lot of people keep reminding me, you got to make sure Kemper's operating like a business. So I hear that all the time. You guys hear it all the time. So I see it the last few years. I think the frontline people, a lot of you guys get left out on a lot of this training like this. So Kathy's here for an hour. I made some calls, and she came out. And she's gracious enough to come here and spend an hour with us. So, Kathy, thanks a lot for coming.
You know, John, why don't we exchange spots?
Sure.
Because if I get up here, it will give everybody an opportunity to...
Take this chair, though. You got stuck with the lounge chair there.
No, I'm going to stand. I think it'll probably just make it easier for everyone, and I'm going to grab this because I told John I don't know what the deal is, but I've been so thirsty the last couple of days. It's kind of crazy, but... Well, I really appreciate the opportunity. I think it's really fun to kind of think about things a little bit differently. And I'm sure you're all wondering, what is my sphere of expertise on this? Well, it's not much. But other than the fact that I've been in business, we've had our business for going on 35 years. From the travel agency up to, we created a division of our business called Star Destinations, which is the tour side of our business. And we're a wholesale tour operator. We take people traveling all over the world, and that's primarily the position that I have. And then I'm sure you all know, or at least have met or come in contact with one or more of my three sons, Jeff and Scott and Pat. Jeff and Scott live here, and Pat lives in Cedar Rapids. But over the course of the years, and especially in my business, I come in contact with frontline people just like you every day. And I make judgments every day about who I'm going to do business with. And it's really, really important for you all to realize how important your frontline position is, because what you do and the image that you create of Kemper is the lasting first impression of what people think about Kemper. And several years ago, this is several years ago, probably about 20, I served as president of the local chamber. And that also happened to be the year that Walmart came to town. So we had merchants all over town that were very nervous. They were afraid their businesses were going to fold. They really didn't know what the expectations were going to be. You know, here we have a small hardware store. What do? You know, we have a small shop. all of these things are so concerned about how are we going to market against Walmart. So the Chamber put together a series of hospitality training programs, and we did one for the service segment, which is, you know, gas stations and anybody who met in the service industry. One for the hospitality industry, the restaurants, the hotels, and then one for the office industry, and that was the one that I kind of got involved in a little bit. So if I had my old notes, I'd pick them up, but I do remember a few of the things. So I think we'll kind of start with that. So in the back, way back when, I've had a little bit of training, so hopefully some of that will come through. But I think what John's point here in doing some of this is to remind you that you're all in the customer service business. And I have to tell my staff that all the time, and hopefully you'll remember some of the things that we talk about here today, and remember them in terms of the fact that you are probably one of the most important people at Kemper. Yes, the teachers are important. Yes, the faculty, the staff, the students, but you people are really critically important. And when John talked about a team, I always talk about a cogwheel in my office. And I talk about the fact that we have professional people in our office. We have professional bus cleaners, it's professional, professional mechanics, we have professional body guys, we have professional tour planners, we have professional tour operations people. Everyone in our business is professional because they are the most important people about what we do. And I always remind them that everything works like the cogs in a wheel. If one of those people drop a little bit, the wheel cannot go around. And it makes it really difficult for every other segment of the wheel to work, every other segment of your team to work. So when everybody realizes how important they are and does 110% every day, it really makes for a great team. But what we're going to talk about today primarily is in relation to customer service. It are some tips and maybe sharpen a few skills on answering the phone and being those frontline people, being the people that are the first ones that make contact with people. We're going to talk about customer service. We're going to talk about answering the phone, taking messages, delivering messages, frontline contact, proper office attire, and sales. Because you're all in sales as well, whether you want to think so or not. So let's get started. And so, as I said, the number one thing is customer service. We'll look at that first. Kemper has a mission, a philosophy. They've got policies. And it's up to each one of you to know what that mission is, to know what those policies are, to know what your philosophy is, so that in what you do and what you project reflects those policies, and in how you talk to people and what you say. And I think I'm really a big believer in being passionate about what you do, and loving what you do, and putting that smile on your face every day. And it's just a really important part of customer service, of being a part of the team, of really knowing and feeling good about your skills and your knowledge. And I think that when you get that feeling, when you feel the love, when everybody's feeling good about things, that moves to everyone that you are in contact with. It's just an automatic thing. And you know, I think that will transcend to everything that you do this year. Every place that you go, everywhere you go, people I know are constantly coming up to you and asking you something that maybe they didn't ring the phone for, but they're asking you out on the field or wherever you are. And so then you immediately have to transform into that customer service mode. And I think, you know, it's crazy to think that students, parents, and the general public are your customers. Every single one of them. And so it's up to you to make them feel good, to make them know that you care about whatever it is that they're calling about. Whatever it is that they want to talk about, you care about it. And that's really good customer service and putting them in the right place. And you have to remember, every contact that you make, every call that you receive, the buck stops here. But the bucks can start here too, because you can start that feeling, you can start that good image of Kemper in your relationship with people the first time they make a phone call. John hit on a really good point. This is a business. You're in the business of education, but your business isn't any different than any other business out there. We have to have our customer service people, our online front people, when they answer the phone, they have to keep the wheels rolling on those buses, or we're not going to have them. We have only built our business because we have good people who work for us. And they understand our mission, they understand what the program is, they have knowledge, and they transmit that knowledge. And you are the same. And John's concern about people hounding him about operating like a business is very valid, because people are always looking at dollars. They're always looking at where the dollars go. And your dollars come differently than some of ours. And so you've got lots of bosses out there, lots of people who are investing in Kemper. And they really need to know that those dollars that they are donating, that they're investing in this system, are going to the best possible use. So it's the frontline people who are the ones that are the image and the face of Kemper, whether you want to think so or not. So just remember how important you are. Okay, I don't know why I'm getting so dry, but and I think that, as I said, your customer service extends beyond the walls of Kemper. When you're out buying a car, you never know that car dealer might be the one to come in and drop $1,000 check off. They might be the one. And they might be the big donor, the one that we're all looking for, that $1 million guy, wherever they are, whoever they are. You never know who that person is in this community. And so supporting the people who support Kemper is really an important message that you need to understand. And because you are the face of Kemper, you may not realize how important you are, but where you buy, where you shop, what you do, every time think about supporting people whose checks you see come across those desks, because those people are the ones that are making this operation really work financially. And it's so different than anything else. So let's talk about the specific division of the customer service, because I believe everyone is in customer service regardless of what your position is. But let's talk about the secretaries, and because that is the important part, and the frontline people. And so we're going to talk about professional secretaries, because you all are professionals at what you do. Do you all agree that you're professionals at what you do? You all believe that you're professionals at what you do? Yes, good. And and as I said before, one slip of the wheel, one cog of the wheel that isn't really pulling their weight, or that doesn't have that enthusiasm, affects the rest of what goes on. So I'm going to give you a couple of facts that I have kind of lived by for some time. And the first fact is that when you meet someone, whether it is personally or whether it's on the phone, you have 3 seconds to make a first impression. And I remember hearing that from a speaker a long time ago. And I had an amazing impression of this speaker. She was absolutely fantastic. And actually she was coming into town to do some imaging for the Carroll Chamber. And we spent a lot of time talking about first impressions. And that has never left me, because you have to know that whether you pick up the phone or whether someone walks in the office and you extend your hand to shake hands with them and greet them, you are you've got 3 seconds. And it takes just a couple seconds for people to know, oh, this is a great place. This is a welcoming place. Somebody's having a good day when you answer the phone correctly. So, you know, you really want, and you all know what it's like to pick up the phone and someone is less than enthusiastic about their job. You all know what it's like to stand up to a counter and to be standing there and no one says hello. And no one greets you and you wonder, well, how long is this going to take? And so it's absolutely critical that you make that first impression, that you turn around with a smile no matter what you're doing. Welcome, I'll be with you in just a moment. Or answering the phone, and we're going to talk a lot about the phone. The second most important fact that I can think of is the sound of someone's name is the sweetest sound. They love to hear their name. They really enjoy Karen, Mary, Chris. They all love to hear their name. And it's really important. So in the conversation, the first thing is finding their name and then using it repeatedly in the conversation. It also helps you remember who it is you're talking to. So I always try and do that right away when I'm talking to someone. And the other fact, very specifically about your business and being a really, really good professional secretary, is having the ability to hold what you say or what you hear and what goes on here in confidence. It is absolutely critical that confidentiality is one of your strongest traits. There shouldn't ever be a time when something that happens in that office or something that happens in this building doesn't go mum when you walk out the door. It never should happen outside the door. So that leads to your integrity in business, and this is a business, again, a business. So what happens in this business stays here. So those things are really critical. So before the phone rings, I'm going to take a swallow of this. And as we go through this, please don't hesitate to question something. So we're going to talk about the phone ringing. So ring, the phone's ringing. So what do you do first? Immediately quit what you're doing. You might be typing, you might be sending some messages, jotting something down, quit. And as you reach for the receiver, you put a smile on your face. That smile is unbelievable. It goes from your face through the phone to the person's ear. They can feel that you have that excitement, that you're happy, that it's a good day. So picture this. The phone rings and you catch it on the second ring. Never let it go beyond the second ring. That's very annoying for people. I know, I just jump when my phone rings because I really want to catch it right away. People don't like to wait. We are in that very snap society, so the second ring is really important. So you pick up the phone and it is Kemper Catholic Schools, or is it, good morning, Kemper Catholic Schools, how may I help you? We really need that enthusiasm. They know you're happy about your job. They know that it's going to be a good conversation because you're already engaged in what you're doing. So you put everything down, you pick up the phone within 2 seconds, you greet them with a smile on your face, and you are happy. You greet them good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever. Kemper Catholic Schools, you're proud of where you live, or whatever your direction is to say, whether it's the building or whatever, and how may I help you? You're asking them, what can I do for you? Right away, that's passing a really important message on to them. You can really feel it. You care about the caller, and they know that. So the first thing that you want to do is get their name, who they want to speak with, a phone number, what they're calling about, before you ever put a call on hold or transfer a call. all of those things need to be on a little piece of paper, whether this is the one that you use or the one that's sitting by your desk. You need to get that bit of information from them. So,
Can you say that one more time, Kathy?
yes, the important things that you need to do is get their name, who they wish to speak with, a phone number, and what they're calling about. So let's say when that phone rang, they asked for John. And so your response to that would be, I would be happy to see if John is available. May I get your name and number? Immediately, the first two things. That's good. And if they say, well, you know, I just want to talk to John really quick. May I get your name and number just in case I disconnect you? If they hesitate, because that can happen. You know, you push the buttons fast and pretty soon they're gone and they're so frustrated they're not calling back. So, you know, always
we all have caller ID on our phones, or don't you guys all have that on your phones? You don't have that? I'm the only one.
Sometimes.
Oh, lucky you!
I think we assume there's no caller ID though.
Yes. Yeah, I really think it's critical, because then you're right, jotting it down, and that is for future reference, because you ask for that, and you always then ask them if it's okay if you transfer the call. May I put you on hold? And so then they know they're not being just put off. So this is the call. I would be happy to see if John is available. Mary, may I get your name and phone contact in case we get connected? They'll tell you, Mary. It's Mary calling. Thanks, Mary. What can I tell John this is about? What is this call in reference to? Just to kind of give him a heads up. People don't mind. Oh, I just want to talk to him about something personal. Well, that's as far as you're going to get, quite possibly. But it might be something about a donation I made to Kemper. I want to talk to him about my student. A variety of things. So when you are able then to put Mary on hold, when you buzz the phone for John, you can say, John, Mary is on the phone. She wants to talk to you about this. So it gives him a second to kind of get ready for what that phone call is about. He may say to you, oh my gosh, I don't have time to talk to her about that right now. I need to call her back. Then your response is, oh, I'm sorry, Mary, John's not available right now. Would it be convenient if I had him call you back? What time can he call you back? So that you are constantly referring to her by name. You already now have their name, their phone number, what this is about. So you go into John when that message has been delivered via the phone. It's all been written down, and you slip it to John once again so he doesn't forget to make that phone call. That makes you the efficient person that's answering that phone. It's really, really important.
And speaking on the other end, that makes a lot of sense. When people ask me, I'm ready, I know it's something specific, I need to talk to them about the Buildings and Grounds Committee or about a tuition payment. I think 9 times out of 10, it's something specific, I'll tell that secretary. Very rare will I'll say it's something personal, and they will respect that, and they'll tell them it's something personal. But it's very rare where I have to leave a message where it's something personal. So 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you a specific thing, what they need a principal or me for. So that's a great suggestion.
Well, and I think too, when you end the call, and it's time to transfer the call, thanks, Mary, I'll be transferring you now. John is available. Have a great day. So you've made an impression on them. You know, sometimes these impressions that we make are so subliminal that people don't think, well, she just made an impression on me. That isn't the way it is. It happens very quietly that somebody will out and about mention a phone call to Kemper, and they'll go, you know, I called the other day. They were so pleasant on the phone. They made it made me feel so good. And you just don't realize it. And they don't hang up knowing you were great. They do hang up knowing you were not great. So it's absolutely critical that you put your best foot forward every single time that you come in. And it's constantly important to remember that if that's the first time someone ever called Kemper, you are their first point of contact. You have that 3 seconds to make that first impression with those people. And that is absolutely, positively critical. But I know too, full well, that not every call that is coming in is going to be pleasant. There are people that are going to call in, and maybe it's 25% or maybe even 50% of the calls you get are from people that are not happy to be making the phone call to you. So how do you maintain during one of those phone calls when you don't even have a chance to say very much because they're talking pretty nonstop? And I think it's important that you remain very calm. You remain unflappable so that you can continue to project that image. And I think no matter what the provocation is, all these people really want is to be heard. So your response to them is, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. You're not agreeing with them. I understand your point of view. That is calming. It gives them, I hear what you're saying. That you don't agree with them, you don't take positions, you don't ever take sides on anything. You hear them. You listen to them. You let them understand that somebody cares because you're that caring person. You're that image person. You are the face of Kemper right now because you're the one that's getting the message. And I think it's just so important that you remember being unflappable, being strong, and agreeing. And if you continue to smile through that conversation, it really eases the conversation. You just have to try it sometime. It's just absolutely amazing. And sometimes I think, you know, when we're in one of these conversations, you always need to put that positive spin on what it is that you're talking about. Sometimes they'll say, I want to do it this way, I want to do this is the way we want to do it. Well, your response to that, well, that isn't one of your options. That isn't one of our options here. Your options are. And suggest what our policy is, or what that philosophy is, or whatever it is that is that bit of confrontation. So you never say, no, I can't do that, or don't, or whatever. Those negative words become a very negative part of your conversation. So erase the don't and the no and that from your vocabulary on the phone. That's not one of your options. And it really, okay, so what are my options then? These are your options. And believe it or not, it just turns the whole thing around and makes it a more comfortable conversation. But there are a few don't ever say on the phone things. One of them is, I don't know where he is. How professional is that? He hasn't dropped by to let you know that he's leaving for the day. Well, that might be the case, but you don't tell people that. He's not available right now. I don't know where he is, but he's not available right now. But, well, I need to speak to him today. You don't say, I don't know when he's going to be back. I'm not certain when he will be available. But I will give him this message as soon as I see him. Don't ever say he's in the bathroom. Not a good one. So when do you get slammed with the phone? I was kind of trying to think of a couple things last night, and I thought your busiest times have to be in the morning, over the lunch hour, and right after school would be my guess, that those are really heavy times for the phones to ring. And So that's a time when you really have to be on the mark with your messages. Every message that you take, every time you're answering the phone, you should be jotting down the name, the number, the date of this call. That's the last thing that gets issued on it before it goes to the person's desk. It's absolutely critical. So you're jotting down constantly, and then maybe you transfer your notes to something like this. But it's really critical that you remember those important pieces of information have to be gotten from the person no matter how busy you are. And so as a team, you know that these are the critical times when we're going to get phone messages. That's when our swing person needs to be in there helping us out so that those messages get answered quickly on that second call. That's the important time to have extra people there. And maybe I haven't zoned in on the right times, but you know when the right times are. So staff up. Make sure that you've got that covered and that there's somebody on the front line. When there's a big event going, when we're going to the state basketball tournament, when all those kinds of fun activities are going, you know that phone is ringing nonstop. People have got all kinds of questions. Staff up in there. Pull anybody that you can to answer that phone, because that's the image. That's the image. Make sure everybody knows the facts and what's going on. And I think too, even at times that you think, okay, it's time for a break, the kids are gone and it's break time, but it's also the end of the year, the end of the school year, and it's Christmas vacation. December 31st rolls around, and there's all kinds of people out there writing checks. They got to get those checks written before the end of the year, and I remember hearing someone tell me that they drove all over town to different places because they needed to write some checks, and they couldn't find anybody to take the checks, so they didn't write the checks. And I thought, whoa, that's not a good thing. We should let everyone know we're open for business on the 31st to take your checks. And those things, it sounds kind of crazy, but that's the facts. That's the way it is. And it's those people that have the investment in Kemper, that have the ability to write some of those big checks that help John out and help Kemper out, really make a difference.
That's a true story. I've received calls on December 31st, last 4 years in a row now, I think I've been checking. That's last year it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. And it's sad to say, but somebody's got to take their turn and be here when someone walks in that door. And maybe you're not in your office, maybe you're stationed right outside the office and you're wrapping presents or doing something else that's your end of the year kind of things, but it's just critical that you have to think about the critical times that make a difference to this institution, to this business. And nobody wants to do it, nobody wants to be here. But I know on Christmas Eve, unfortunately, there's people on my staff that are writing gift certificates because people they don't know what to give, so they're just, we'll give them a travel gift certificate, which is great. It's a great thing. But it's right there at the end of the year, at our critical time, so we have to be there. We can't all leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sad to say, be nice, but you can't. It's a business. So every year somebody takes a little turn at that, and it seems to work out pretty good. But so that's just another reason that the front line is critically important here. Now, this is just a little topic, but I know you get junk phone messages. People selling you something, a subscription to a magazine, and they want you to answer 400 questions before that. Does John need to take that call? You have to be really good at screening those messages and making sure. And the more questions you ask them, the quicker they are to want to get off the phone. Your name, your number, what is this about? And just kind of throw it back at them, and pretty soon you'll realize that's not something that we're interested in. And thank you very much, or I'll pass the message along. File 13. you know, all of that kind of stuff. So you just have to realize that you have to be good at that and make sure that you're screening the calls very well for whoever it is that are getting those calls. So now we have agreed that you are all professionals. You know what the best method of answering the phone will be. You know how important the smile is. You know how important that your position is. You know that you are professionals. So we have to talk about professional attire in the office. And you know, attire is something that nobody ever wants to be told what to wear or what is appropriate. But I think you all know what's appropriate for a business attire. You walk into a bank or you walk into a professional office and you don't see someone walking around in flip-flops or shorts or jeans, unless of course it's the designated jean day. But that is really critical. And I think every day that I get dressed in the morning, I would love to wear something very casual to work, but I think about the fact that I might have somebody walking in the door that wants me to take his company on a big incentive. Am I ready? Am I professionally dressed to greet that person? You have to think about that person that's walking in the door to bring their students here for the first time. They want to be taking their students to the best school ever, and so all of the professionalism, the greeting, all of that becomes that first impression. And so think about that as you are kind of planning for the year. What are you going to be looking like professionally in that office, and making sure that you're thinking about that in you know, the most professional way. So let's now talk about the messaging that happens when someone walks in and you have to greet them there in the office. You're standing there at the desk and greeting them. What is the most professional way for you to behave? And if someone walks in the door, whether it's a parent and not necessarily a student, or someone from the general public that walks in, what would be, if you're seated, the most appropriate thing would be for you to stand up and greet them and say, hello, welcome, I'm Kathy, what can I do for you? If you don't know who they are and they don't know who you are, if you extend your name to them first, that gives them the opportunity to extend their name to you. And so it really makes a difference, and it really helps give that first impression, that they really are welcomed here. Boy, this is great. It really is a very important thing. Let's say you know, they want to enroll their student, and you are that first person that they're coming in contact with. And I don't know what your procedures are, so you may want to, you know, this may be all old hat to you, but somebody walks in and they have 2 children with them, and they walk in the office, they want to talk about enrolling a student, they want to learn a little bit more about Kemper, they don't know anything about your Kemper system, they're from out of town and they've just moved here, and they're nervous really about this. Well, I know you have a person that is in charge of enrollment, and so the ideal situation would be, and I don't know if this is possible, of course to greet them, but then to say, let me take you, whether it's in this office or someplace close, have a seat, can I get you something to drink? First of all, you've gotten their name, where they're coming from, their phone number. All of those things before you do very much else. And because those things are the most important part of any bit of communication. So they come in, you introduce yourself, get some information. Oh, you're interested. Can I just get a couple of bits of information from you first? Your name, your phone, where you're moving from. Great. show them in to sit down, and someone will be with you in just a minute. Now, I'm assuming you have a packet that is all about Kemper and with enrollment and tuition policies and all of that. You could bring that piece of literature in and set it on the desk so they have a chance to, oh, they're welcome, they're here, oh, this is really great. And I'm going to go get Susie or whoever it is that is going to want to speak to you, and she'll be right with you. So just get comfortable. Can I get you something to drink? Is there anything I can do for you? Okay, excuse me for just a few minutes. And then you run and get her. Well, she's not available, but John is. So you bring John in and say, you introduce the people first, because they're the most important people right there in that situation, to John, who is the president of Kemper Catholic Schools. He would love to talk to you. Susie isn't available right now. So those kinds of courtesies to people are that image, that first impression that you want to leave with people. And in any of those situations, you really need to have a set protocol of how this is handled. When somebody comes in, they want to talk about enrollment. Okay, just a minute, I'm fluffing around. I'm looking around for that packet. I don't know where they put all those things. I'll see if I can find somebody. Hold on just a minute. Well, that is near as professional as extending your hand and welcoming them, introducing yourself, getting their names, getting a little information about them, having that packet on Kemper really handy, and being able to show them in so someone in your executive team can really give them a wonderful welcome, to give them the nice tour of the facilities and get to know who they are, and calling them by name, especially those little children. They're really excited about that. You know, there are, and I'm sure John has some of these protocols all set up for you, but just to insert some of those ideas in that really comforts people. When you think about how nervous they are coming into a new school, and let's say quite possibly they could be a Carroll Community Schools parent that wants to see about putting their student here, that is a huge step for them to think about bringing their student from one institution to another. It's critically important that they realize, oh, I already made the best decision. I made that decision because you were so nice to me. You know, those little things, those first impressions are absolutely critical. And that's why people answering the phone, being on that front line, you are the image of Kemper. You're the ones that when somebody sees you first, that is just absolutely, it's a really staggering responsibility. And it's one that really makes the cog of the wheel go round.
Kathy, for instance, what would you say to someone, they come in, you can tell they're in a hurry, they're in a rush, they're a stranger. I just want to know what tuition is here. I'm in a hurry. Can I have your tuitions on a piece of paper and I got to go? I'm in a hurry. Can I just get a piece of paper with tuition?
Sure.
Real fast.
Sure. Oh, I'd be happy to get that for you. First of all, I just want to get your name and phone number so that if you have, and all of our information is on there, but let me get your name and phone number. If you don't mind, I'd love to have our enrollment specialist give you a call. So take this now. The packet is here, but I really would love to have someone visit with you and answer any questions, because I am sure every question is not in that packet, and we'd really love to welcome you to our system. You know, yes, they are going to be in a hurry. You know that, and I believe that happens. I believe it happens. But you can get them to stay for just enough time to get that name and that phone number. And that name and that phone number better be on this little pink piece of paper that goes immediately into Susie's desk, so that she knows the date that person stopped in, the time that person stopped in, who they are. They picked up a packet. They wanted to know what our tuition was. I gave them the packet. I told them that you would be calling them. And I mean, never ever let the opportunity for someone on your executive team to make a personal contact. You know, and sometimes someone might say to you, oh, just here, give this piece of paper to John. He'll know who it's from. Well, excuse me, I really need to get your name and number just in case something happens here. I just really need to get your name and number. On top of that piece of paper is this other little piece of paper that said, at this time, someone stopped in. This is their name, this is their, they said you would know who this was from. Even if you know who it's from. Matt Gredeman stopped in. He had a message for you. He dropped this piece of paper off. Don't leave a piece of paper on a desk without a message, without a note. Those kind of things get lost. They get lost. And then the inefficiency. Kemper didn't call me back. No, this didn't happen. You know, I tried and nobody responded. That's the image. That's the first impression that you're going to make. And I know this is the first year for John in his position. And every time someone comes in new to an environment or rises from one side of the desk to the other, changes will occur. And sometimes you wonder, oh, is this, what's this going to be like? Da, 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 da. He's wanting to build a really strong team. He asked me to come in today just to help with that one little segment of the team. But everything else, that all the other events and activities with your students, with your different positions around, all of you have team members that you work with. And it's really important that each one of you put that smile on your face every day and make it work for your team. Engage them, communicate with them so that I know John will have lots of new ideas and do lots of new things that will change what's going on in the environment here. And I don't know, there was a book out many years ago called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's really funny because it was all about, this is the way we do things. This is the way it's done. And then someone moves your cheese and you have to move with it to get new ideas and to get fresh and to really be a part of the team and go the extra mile. Maybe you have to stay an extra hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, and if John knows that, then take a couple hours when it's not so busy off. But being a member of a team is so critical, and we always talk about the wheel and how things go around, and each person makes such a difference, because if you don't make a difference, you shouldn't be here. You really shouldn't be here. Kemper needs to find people who are invested in what they do, and in every step of the way. And I think one of the things, years ago when I told you about that hospitality training we were doing, you all know Cindy Tapworn, I'm sure, that has Coast to Coast. We did the training for the employers. And I said to them, you tell your staff, if you aren't invested in my business, if you don't believe in my mission, if you don't think I have got the best of this kind of business, I sell the best shoes in town. If you don't believe that, go pick up a paycheck someplace else. Well, Cindy came to me afterward and said, if I had all my employees come to a little meeting, would you give the same talk to them? I said, yeah, it's a lot easier hearing it from somebody else. But the message is the same. Get invested, get engaged, love what you do, be good at what you do, have the knowledge, professionalism, and integrity, confidentiality, all of those things, and you will see things sparkle around here. because you frontline people are the people that make it all happen, so that's all I have to say.
You got a good war story from, whether it's a bus mechanic or a tour guide, or a good success story of how a small, seemingly frontline person at WinStar made a big difference?
You know, on occasion, we have a malfunction on a motor coach. You know, those are the things that happen. And they can call, the most often, the person who gets a phone call is the person who booked that motor coach for them. And we have empowered our people to make decisions. And that's absolutely critical, is that people are empowered to make decisions. But if they say, we are on this, it's immediate. We will make a decision here. The driver's already contacted us. We know that there is a situation going on. We're going to make it happen. And we get comments all the time that, yeah, it was a great trip. We did have a little malfunction on the bus, but everybody took care of it immediately. And it's that immediate response, especially when you're in a critical situation. But, you know, we have crazy things happen in our business all the time, and it's all about risk management. That's our whole thing, is risk management. We talk about it all the time. We had a group out on a tour, and they pulled up to the restaurant that they were eating at. 50 people pulled up to the restaurant that they were eating at with the fire department out in front of the restaurant. And not much going on in there, but hoses and water and fire and no food. And you know, you're sitting there going, oh my God, where am I going to feed 50 people? You know, it's immediate. And so we got on the phone with our frontline people. Find me a restaurant that'll serve 50 people. We're going to drive around and do a little sightseeing for about a half hour. So, you know, there's always things that happen. And I would be amiss if I didn't believe that the fires started here fairly regularly. I mean, there's something on fire, something going on. And it is how you handle that. That's that unflappable part of your jobs. But the other thing is in a crisis management, we have a crisis management program in our office, as to who you probably do too. Who is that person on the front line? Who is going to speak about a specific situation? Who is that person? And no one else addresses it. No one speaks to the media. No one does this. No one does. There's only one person that makes comments, and everyone is directed to that person. So, you know, there's all kinds of things, but I could think of a million things, John. But it is critical. It's really critical that you know, that people are treated with care, and you appreciate them making that phone call. And that's why that thanks for calling, have a good day, at the end of a conversation, it's just heartwarming to someone. It just is a warm feeling, and they get a warm, fuzzy feeling. They don't even know what that was, but they feel it, and they feel that about Kemper because you are Kemper to them. Other questions? Thoughts? Penny? Well, hey, I don't know what time it. Oops, golly, it's almost 9. So I can't believe I talked that long. But
Do we have lots of these pink slips, or do we don't? Should I get? I'll get a bunch of them. I don't know.
We have them in our office all the time.
yeah, they're just such a handy little thing, and I think I even try and avoid buying pink sticky notes, so that nothing else pink appears on the desk, and when you see one of these pink things on your desk, you know, hey, this is important, I better get back to it, or whatever. And you know, I believe in messaging, double messaging too. I always send a quick email message or snap message to an individual, hey, I just put a note on your desk, so-and-so called.
That would be great. Yeah, because sometimes, especially on maybe just leave it for 2 days and then I can check it on our phones. Ted does that.
Yeah, an email message is really great for somebody who moves around a lot. You know, that's really great. And if they're, you know, have the ding on their phone, which we all do, you know that you've gotten a message and you look and, oh my gosh, I better get back to the office and make that phone call because that's really critical. You let him know how critical that information is on your little email message. So
I have one more thing. Yeah. I always thought I was pretty friendly, and I still think I am pretty friendly sometimes, but Father Feller came in, he's our new chaplain. He's just so nice to everyone, introducing himself to everyone, and I was like, well, I thought I was friendly. But he's, you know, I can be even more friendly, and he took the time to get everyone's name. Hey, who are you? What's your name? And when someone walked by, he tried to remember their name, so just seeing that, like, you know, not only just being a business person, but the light of Christ, too, you know. This is the Catholic school. So.
Well, it is, and so you really have a special message to be giving people. It's that caring message, and what a great example that he is going to be to all of you, to put that light in everyone's day. And again, remember how important the sweet sound of your name is to everyone's ear. It's true. It's really true that when someone remembers your name, you feel like you've made an impression on them, that you've done something, or you're of importance to them, and that's really a great example. Well, that's going to be a wonderful addition to Kemper. How nice. You know, I remember the days. I didn't go to Kemper. I'm from Nebraska, but I went to a small Catholic school where we still had the sisters and the priest faculty that was very involved in what we did. But it is sad that because I really treasure those memories and treasure that, and maybe many of you do as well. But you know, it's sad that we don't have as much religious faculty involved, or religious staff coming around and being a part of it. And that's why, you know, your job is another double job when your relationship with the students, when they're walking in, that caring, and those little people that are nervous about things and not looking down on them, that bringing yourself down to them is really a way for you to get that caring and relationship building with them, because if they're in there, they're really scared and they're nervous and they really don't know what's going on. So you know, bringing yourself to them instead of making them feel small is a good thing, and it's just all about caring. And sometimes, you know, if you start out your day thinking about those things, it really helps the rest of the day. Okay, well, you all had 1 hour, so here we are.
Good job. Appreciate it.
Oh, you bet.
Yes.
Well, one of my questions was, I realized what she was saying was generic for your building, but I wanted to know what you wanted us to do. In the past, if a phone call came from Vern, we didn't really deal with the person. We transferred. I said, Leo, let me transfer you to his secretary. And you know, of course, these people are in way different buildings and can't really get a pink slip to you immediately. Do you want all the calls to pretty much go through Joni like before, or do you want calls directly to come to you?
What had happened in the past? So you used to refer them to Joni, and then Joni would pass them on?
Yeah. She knew if you were there. Or
take the message from downstairs, or do you want to pass it?
I think, well, you guys tell me, if it seems appropriate, can I refer you on to his office? This is his office. This is the office. Yeah, I think that's probably
kind of like before.
Yeah, but what if Joni's not in? You know, then
yeah, well, then
I know this would be
then
extra.
We would.
Yeah, especially if you're a remote site. Emails great. I mean, but I don't know. What did she call this? A double messaging? I would love that. I know that's extra work for you guys, but sometimes someone will do that. I get this plus. It might even say I think the person would put on there, I also emailed this to you. Or in my email, it said there's a message in your mailbox. That is fabulous. I love that. So I can speak for you guys too. So no, it's a little extra work there, but you know.
So just being downstairs, I know this sounds crazy, but if we if we should get that, put it in your mailbox, but still send an email, because we can put it in there at 8:15.
On Thursday morning, when I'm on a conference on Friday, you may not be back till Monday.
But
So
if
an
it's
email.
something probably really pressing, we just need to walk it up anyway.
Yeah, and if you think, and the email, usually I can get to it on my phone too.
Okay.
Can I talk quickly about my mailbox downstairs?
Sure.
Is there a way we can, I have a mailbox down in the high school, right? And is there one just for up here? How does that, maybe we can streamline that somehow.
You have one in there.
Yeah, but sometimes it just stays in my mailbox downstairs. Is there like a
Well,
business
when
office
does
mailbox?
Joni come down and get the mail?
Mail up.
Yeah, you go down there every day?
Everybody learns that.
Okay, so I wasn't sure, because I knew there was some stuff down there that I hadn't seen for a few days, but.
What time do you usually go down?
10:30 after midnight, please.
Okay.
Or if it's easier just to have one mailbox called business office and it all comes up here, if there's an easier way, but if you think there's a way to improve that, that's fine. But,
You can just, I'll bring it up when I come up.
okay,
Your mail.
But that being said, we know that if it's after 10:30, you're not gonna get it for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that's why the
Well, you
email-
come down later in the day to pick up the mail, so you do come down twice a day.
Down,
yeah.
or if you guys know there's
Yeah, I
something
try
for
to
it.
just remember to.
But if we're transferring calls to you, it will be only a few if you're not at your desk, so.
Or if you put something really important in his mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad she brought up confidentiality. I remember when Gail was hired. Gail came from a bank, right, at that time, at the bank, and we brought up confidentiality, and she came from a bank. That was a no-brainer. But I need to remember to put that on new hires, and I'm glad Kathy brought that up, because, you know, we're counting dollars, bills on dress-down days, and they're on our desks, and sometimes we have to be careful on cash laying around, but not just Chris and Christy, who have sensitive information with who's getting tuition assistance, but there's a lot of confidentiality matters no matter what, and you guys do a good job of that. Yeah, did you hear something? So that's a good message from her too, and it's good to remind everybody that's extremely important. In donor relations, it's incredibly important. Elena and Sharon, they have that drilled into their training. Confidentiality is the most critical thing in fundraising. It's also important in this, in what you guys do too. So I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out, Penny and Ted or Kathy, if there's anything else. But she had some good messages.
I just know that I sometimes, and Candace and Karen know, I mean, when we get upset about something in an office situation, it's really important not to talk about it right then. And I put myself right at the top of that list. Because you're right in the middle of a sentence and someone walks in the door. And yes, you can stop, but it's real obvious that, that they've caught you in the middle of something that shouldn't have been being said. So I think that's the case in all our offices. You know, they're kind of a big wide open space, and we tend to communicate across the room sometimes. And
the kids talk in a hurry when they get home and tell mom.
And yeah, and a kid walks in and hears something,
Yeah.
and they do take it home. I have
Oh,
been
they do take it
I have
home,
been
yeah.
caught in that, and I think that's good lessons for our teachers in the hallways too, because that definitely happens.
Sure. Well, thanks for taking time, and I know this has been a busy week for next week. So thanks again.